Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. If you're tuning in, you're ready to learn. And today, we are taking a really fascinating journey into the E.S.A ecosystem. We'll also be looking at the engine managing it all behind the scenes, a Cassandra Senderian Berhad. This is going to be a deep dive into exactly how a community-driven model is completely redefining sustainability for independent creators, neurodivergent individuals, and everyday makers. It's a great story, so let's get into it. Here is our quick roadmap for the tour today. We'll start by meeting the ESA communities, then look at their 3 core brand pillars, dive into artisanal production, break down their 4-way revenue model, and wrap up with their big clubhouse vision.
All right, Section 1, Meet ESA Communities. Let's find out who they are and exactly who they serve.
To really understand this whole ecosystem, you have to look at their founding philosophy first. ESA defines themselves as community aggregators and marketeers. Now, what does that actually mean in practice? Well, it means their primary goal isn't just to blindly sell a product. Instead, they focus on the activities happening within and among different communities. They are actively aggregating supply, the things people make, with demand, the people who actually want to buy them. This deliberate matchmaking encourages real organic growth together, which is a huge shift from leaving individual creators to just fend for themselves in a massively crowded marketplace.
And working right behind that striking public-facing ESA banner is E.S.A Senderian Berhad. Think of them as the operational engine. They are the ones putting in the work to ensure this collaborative, purpose-driven aggregator actually functions as a self-sustaining, viable business in the real world.
So who exactly makes up these communities? Our source material points out that ESA serves some very specific, yet incredibly diverse groups of people. First and foremost, you have the neurodiverse community, particularly autistic youth and adults who are looking for a reliable platform to participate in the economy. But they also serve the broader creators and makers community, the education sector, through really cool things like STEM storytelling, and highly experienced independent subject matter experts. We are literally talking about everyday people. Professionals, retirees, college grads, neurotypical and neurodivergent individuals, all putting one foot forward to make a collective difference.
Moving right along to Section 2, the 3 core brand pillars, which form the absolute foundation of the ESA ecosystem. Okay, so how do these communities actually create a tangible output? Because, aggregating a community is fantastic, but they need a canvas to work on, right? Well, ESA provides that canvas through 3 established intellectual properties, or IPs. Think of these as the creative foundations for all the community's products. First up is the Spectrum, focusing on neurodiverse empowerment. Second is the Unity Macroverse, which uses sci-fi storytelling to drive real interest in STEM. And third, ESA Gag Gifts. These are essentially physical manifestations of local Malaysian memes and inside jokes. In fact, that line alone boasts over 200 different products.
Let's really anchor these established IPs, because they are the absolute core of what gets produced. Take the Spectrum. What started as a simple outlet for autistic youth to just express themselves through art has evolved into this massive voice for the neurodiverse, producing art prints, apparel, and merchandise. Then you have the Unity Macroverse. This is a totally different flavor. It's all about creating and telling engaging sci-fi stories to get kids genuinely excited about science, technology, engineering, and math. The key takeaway here? These aren't just brands. They are pre-built worlds that community members can instantly plug their own creativity into.
Let's jump into Section 3, Artisanal Production and Value, and the true power of the human touch.
Now, how does ESA actually address the modern challenges facing creators today? Because, let's face it, the landscape is completely shifting. Traditional physical markets are shrinking fast, and the sudden explosion of AI leaves a lot of independent makers feeling threatened. They're basically being forced to compete against automated digital mass production. So, how does a grassroots community of human creators fight back against that?
Well, they pivot to the one thing AI absolutely cannot replicate: humanity. ESA combats these modern challenges by heavily leaning into bootstrapped, artisanal products. We're talking handmade, eclectic items that are just dripping with high human value. Picture a candid photo from a local story jam or the raw ground-level reality of families packaging orders together. That kind of authenticity builds serious trust. But, and this is a really brilliant dual-track strategy, they don't ignore the high-end market either. They reserve their professional-grade production as a premium service for B2B corporate CSR partners. So, you end up with raw, authentic community art on one side and slick, ESG-compliant corporate co-branding on the other. It covers all the bases.
Which brings us nicely to Section 4, the 4-way split revenue model.
where we explore their sustainable financial engine.
Listen, it's one thing to make art. It's another entirely to ensure everyone actually gets paid fairly for it. Our sources outline this brilliant, highly flexible four-way split revenue model. Since the cost of raw materials always fluctuates, ESA avoids rigid blanket percentages. Instead, the revenue from any product is split four distinct ways. First, the creator or artist gets a share, which is carefully calculated to ensure they have a fair, predictable income floor. Second, the seller, the agent actually hustling to move the product, gets a commission. Third, the maker, the entity providing those raw materials, recovers their costs. And finally, the balance goes right back into the ESA ecosystem to fund community reinvestment, digital gallery maintenance, and basic operational overhead. It is a wonderfully pragmatic, ground-level approach built largely on trust between families and individuals.
Now, zooming out from a single transaction, this four-way split is part of a much bigger picture that ESA calls their Growth Operating System, or Growth OS. This is the overarching operational engine. It's purposely designed to drive sustainable revenue by connecting high-margin corporate partnership pipelines, like those big annual CSR renewals, directly with their day-to-day consumer sales engine. The Growth OS basically ensures that every single time there's commercial growth, it directly fuels the social impact. It funnels money right back into that four-way split to sustain both the platform and the hardworking creators.
And finally, we arrive at Section 5, the Community Clubhouse Vision, and how ESA is fulfilling real aspirations.
To scale this whole operation up, ESA envisions a true physical manifestation of their aggregator model, the Community Clubhouse. And we absolutely need to emphasize a major differentiator here. If you look at traditional makerspaces, they generally only provide the physical tools in the space. You show up, you have access to a 3D printer, sure, but you have to figure out what to make and how to sell it entirely on your own. The ESA Community Clubhouse completely flips that script. It goes way beyond just handing you physical tools because it provides the what and the why. By walking into this clubhouse, creators are immediately handed those ready-made IPs we discussed earlier, like the Spectrum and Unity Macroverse. This means whatever they make has immediate commercial viability. They are producing merchandise for recognized brands from day one, essentially treating the clubhouse space like a continuous, self-sustaining trade show.
Now, to make this transformative clubhouse a reality nationwide, ESA is currently seeking to raise equity crowdsourcing. It's a very bold step for sure, and it leaves us with a pretty provocative thought to end on today. If traditional independent creators are currently struggling so much against AI and shrinking markets, how will empowering everyday communities with ready-made, commercially viable IPs completely redefine the future of the creative economy? It's something to think about. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today. Keep analyzing, keep learning, and I will see you in the next one.